What's up, everybody? Another windy night in South Beach. La da 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 da. Oof. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Walks in Wall Street. We'll get started here in just a moment, but we'll just do the quick nightly audio and visual check. So you guys can hear us and see us. Also, if you can rewind with the DVR. Let's go ahead and leave a thumbs up in the chat. We'll get started here in just a moment. Lots to talk about, lots to cover. Big news, lots of stuff. So we'll get started here in a moment. Thank you all for joining and welcome to South Beach. All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Walks and Wall Street. Today is Monday, June 3rd, 2024. It's about 9:24 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are reporting live from 24th Street and Collins Avenue in South Beach. Now, the financial markets were pretty mixed today, and the market's getting seemingly thin. Nvidia was the standout for the day, up about 53 points, finishing the day at 1,150, up 5% on the day. We had some technical difficulties at the New York Stock Exchange, which they are looking into. There was a mini flash crash in Berkshire Hathaway. I actually think Warren Buffett is on his private jet right now, headed to Argentina. Talk about that a little bit later. And some big geopolitical news. Mexico has elected their first female president. Now, to be fair, I don't really know too much about her. I don't know too much about her politics, but I have written many bull theses on Mexico and how I think the Mexican economy is poised to do really well as manufacturing reshores back to North America. But, here's the big but. The Mexican stock market, if you look at the ticker symbol EWW, okay, this is the iShares Mexico ETF. Once again, ticker symbol EWW had its worst day on record since the great 2008 financial crisis. It was down 10%, actually over 10%, 11%, slaughtering through its 200-day moving average. And from the preliminary research that I've done, it seems as if the newly elected president in Mexico is socialist of some types, socialist of some sorts. Now, again, before everybody freaks out in the comments, not too sure really anything about her policies, but the market's not liking it. It's not liking it one bit. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Can the Mexican stock market recover? Who knows? It was on a good trend, on a good trajectory. I think the bull thesis is still intact for the Mexican economy to do well. However, I think the general trend of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics specifically, bringing back a lot of that manufacturing capacity overseas, right, from a lot of the countries abroad that have cheap labor. I think that advantage of having very, very cheap labor is going to go away, because you can automate a lot of those processes. Whether we like it or not, whether it's political or not, I think that's what's going to happen. And US, Mexico, and Canada is poised to benefit from that. However, I don't know. I don't know the politics of it all. I'm not too familiar with the Mexican president. Maybe there's some fellow viewers from Mexico that could advise throughout the stream. We'll talk about that, but let's shift gears and go over to commodities. Ticker symbol CL, crude oil futures getting absolutely hammered. Now, if you remember, we've actually been talking about a bull thesis for crude. I thought that crude was going to make its way back up towards $90 a barrel, even maybe touch $100 over the summer. It looks like the exact opposite, well, a complete polar opposite is unfolding. We've now broken back below the 200-day moving average, and light crude oil futures right now is trading at $73 a barrel. Check it out. So price action is now broken down below the 200-day moving average. What does this mean for the energy sector? Let's take a look at the XLE. The XLE was down about 3% on the day. Makes sense because crude is down, but still trading above its 200-day moving average. So I've actually been adjusting some of my positions to account for this. It happens, but we'll see. I guess I'll close up the laptop and we'll get started. I have a few other things to talk about, but time is of the essence here. So let me go ahead and close up the laptop. I'll lock my stuff up here, say hello to everybody in the chat, and we will get started. Thank you all for joining, and welcome to South Beach. All right, let's see who we got. Turn off the Wi-Fi. Good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. Mary says, hey Tom, I heard OPEC is cutting production. Indeed, we'll talk about that. I think that's it's an important topic. Trade Brigade, what is going on, my friend? Trade Brigade, what do you think about the massive price action movement today in Mexican equities getting hammered? Ticker symbol EWW is the iShares ETF for Mexico. It doesn't look like the market is liking this newly elected president. Again, full disclosure, I don't really know much about her, so I don't think it's appropriate to jump to conclusions, but from the few articles that I have read, it's looking like not too business friendly of a president. But again, I'm not too sure. New England crypto, what's going on? Sunshine after rain. I see Gary Carpenter. I see Peter. I see Vinny's here. Dutchman says the price of gas here in Costco in Phoenix, Arizona is $3.60 a gallon. Diana, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I see the one and only Western Mass Dave. Good to see you, Dave, again. Twice in a row today. I quickly want to point out this hotel. This is a really, really nice hotel here. It's called The One Hotel in South Beach. They have these really cool kind of outdoor cabanas here. They have a really nice bar in the lobby, and it smells really, really good. There's always a lot of nice cars, a lot of nice vehicles in the valet here. You can kind of see them right now, a lot of Lamborghinis and the like. Not a big car guy, and I'm also really not a big Lamborghini person, but if that suits you, I mean, more power to you. But this is a really, really nice kind of environment. It's really relaxing. They're playing good music. And the ceiling is like all this wood. It kind of looks like driftwood from the ocean. It's quite nice. Hey, Dario is here. What's going on? RB, welcome. Says you were within shouting distance. Very cool. Welcome. Oh, nice. This is, I mean, what a great place to live. Look at the color on this thing. Really eye-popping. Look at that. Very cool. Now, another thing I'm noticing in the market, which I think we need to talk about, is Nvidia is kind of acting like a liquidity suck from even a lot of the other big mega cap tech firms. Right now, a $2.5 trillion company. The stock is so liquid and it's performing so well. And I think this may actually upset some of the traditional growth metrics on Wall Street and set unrealistic expectations. Because Nvidia, and let's just be honest, okay? And let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, if I'm getting the wrong idea. But it's just not feasible for companies to grow as fast as Nvidia is growing, all while being profitable, by the way, okay? So many of, I should say, analysts on the street, are making these comparisons of Nvidia and the tech wreck, the tech bubble. There's some very key differences. Now, it's true that it's never different this time. Those are the famous last words on Wall Street. I'm not saying the stock can't go down. It can. But the thing is an absolute cash-generating machine. I mean, it's ridiculous profits. I always use the saying, and you guys kind of get a kick out of it. It's like cartoonish profits, right? That you would see in like a cartoon. I always think of Scrooge McDuck, jumping off that diving board into the pot of gold. But what you're seeing is massive flight from a lot of these enterprise software companies that used to trade at these premiums, particularly when interest rates were really, really low. So generally speaking, if a company is doing double-digit and triple-digit revenue growth, but it's not yet profitable, and they're just focusing on gaining market share at all costs, which, is what was advised over the last decade, these stocks would go through a crazy multiple expansion and trade at ridiculous levels of price to earnings, trade at ridiculous levels of price to sales. But I think that's kind of shifting now. Like even a lot of the solid companies like ServiceNow, ticker symbol NOW, Atlassian, ticker symbol TEAM, they just don't quite have the juice in them as they've had before. Or I should say, Wall Street is not really assigning those premiums to these companies as they were before. And what I don't really want to say nervous about, but I feel as if the comparative analysis here is getting skewed in the most ridiculous way because of Nvidia. The growth, the market share, the TAM. So if analysts and fund managers on the street, they don't see that triple-digit earnings growth quarter over quarter, year over year, which is just wild, triple-digit sales growth, they're not going to allocate money to those names. Now, this is I'm just speaking in generalities. Obviously, it's not that they're going to allocate no money. But to go back to my original point, as we're standing outside the W Hotel, you're just seeing everybody crowd into Nvidia. Again, up 5% on the day. It was up $50. The stock's trading at what, $1,100 a share, $1,150 a share before the stock split. I mean, it's the expectations, in conclusion, I think are going to get really stretched. And when this thing corrects, I don't know if the market will go back to assigning those massive multiples again to these type of stocks. Again, I could be wrong, but that's kind of, my thoughts. Harry says Salesforce has been dropping big time. I think that's another good example. Now, Salesforce, not for nothing, that was a pretty good quarter, right? But I think it's just the multiple on which these companies trade. The market is not going to assign those big premiums anymore, right? Salesforce is really in the transition of a turbocharged growth company to more of a mature company, but it still is. I mean, that company is going to be a cash cow. Mark Benioff himself, on the earnings call and when he was on Mad Money, Cramer had him on. Well, I should say he had like a little Zoom video call with Benioff on Mad Money, and that's kind of what Benioff was reiterating. It's that it's not like the quarter was horrible. Okay, I mean, think about the metrics. It had its record quarter in company history for deals closed over $1 million. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the stock has to go up. I think you're seeing a big re-rating on Wall Street of where the new norm of the multiple of where these stocks trade. We'll see. Dale is here. What's up, Dale? Karina Thompson. Mary. Darius, this is for the AI market regarding Nvidia. I think so. I mean, look at the spend. Look at the overall spend of some of the big companies, right? Like Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, which, by the way, a concern about Nvidia is that, yeah, they're experiencing such unbelievable and massive revenue growth, but their customer base is so consolidated to like a handful of companies. So if Meta stops spending, which they won't, Mark Zuckerberg said he's not going to. If Alphabet stops spending, which they're probably not going to either, that could literally reduce, like cut revenues in half. So it's a very, very high concentration of customer base to like 5 companies. That makes up the majority of the customer base of Nvidia. This is the Eden Gallery. You'll see a lot of Alec Monopoly artwork there. Zozo Bob, what's going on? TK Porsche is Tom, how much of the last week is the run-up before the stock split Friday? I'm not too sure. Everybody that I know on the street that has had a whopper position in this thing, that has made, I mean, a ridiculous amount of money, have all been trimming into this. So I don't know. I don't advise on like whether to buy or not to buy, but I think, I mean, who knows? There's an old saying on Wall Street that markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. I think that's how it goes. So you never know. I mean, some stocks go much, much higher than you could ever imagine. And other stocks go much, much lower than you could ever imagine in your life. A good example would be Zoom, ticker symbol ZM, and then Peloton. I mean, look at those two stocks, never ever recovered from the pandemic. MD is here, what's going on? Says, did you already talk about Roaring Kitty? So we can talk about it. I haven't really been paying attention to it too much. I really haven't been paying attention to it too much, and look, I think there's going to need to be a discussion around what constitutes market manipulation, you know, in the modern world. And I'm not trying to say big institutions don't manipulate the market. They do, right? There's short sellers that come on CNBC all the time and talk their book about how this company is a scam, this company is a fraud, you know, there's all these activist investors. But when this guy who goes by the pseudonym Roaring Kitty on on X, if he posts memes or if he posts like funny things that could influence the stock price, is that considered market manipulation or not? I don't know. I think here's the test that I always put myself to the test to. And it's the following. I always ask myself, would I be comfortable doing this myself? So here's an example as we look at this beautiful Art Deco building. If let's say like Walks on Wall Street was Roaring Kitty, right? And I accumulated, you know, $100 million worth of call contracts on GameStop, which I would never do anyway, but let's just kind of play this scenario out. And then I came on the live stream and started talking about it and started making jokes about GameStop and started, you know, posting memes about it on my X account or on my Instagram, knowing I have a big audience. I personally would not feel comfortable doing that because I think that would be unethical. Now, I'm not saying what this guy is doing is unethical, so don't get my words twisted. It just doesn't kind of sit right, because knowing how the market works, the vast majority of people that are buying into this GameStop and all this AMC, or the meme stocks is what people, I guess, are calling it, all of those people are going to lose money. Almost all of them. There may be a few people who get lucky that make money, but I mean, we've seen this so many times. If you've been involved in the market for, longer than, 5 years, pump and dumps happen all the time. And I'm trying to walk a fine line here. I'm not saying this is a pump and dump. I think you have, let's just conclude that. I don't think I would ever do something like that. I just think it'd be way too risky. I mean, I think if I had to make a prediction, like if you want to get a prediction out of me, I think the SEC is probably gonna come knocking on his door. Now, I'm not saying that's what should happen. I'm just saying that's what I think is going to happen. Again, not to confuse the two, I'm not saying it should happen, but I think it will happen. Something of that size, if you have that much influence on the internet, I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think what this gentleman is doing is market manipulation? Peters's ethics and legality are two different things. Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's not like this guy, Roaring Kitty, is coming out here and telling people to buy the stock, right? I don't think that's what he's doing. I think he's just being very open with his positions and making like lighthearted jokes on the internet. I don't think he's actively telling everybody to go buy the stock, right? Brad Brain says it's not a pump and dump. GameStop has a great forward business plan. It's a pump and dump, Tom. Yeah, it probably is a pump and dump, but it's also there's no liquidity in that stock. There's no liquidity, and you can't even, if you wanted to short that stock, you can't even borrow shares of stock from a brokerage to short it. There's no shares to borrow. All right, let me read some more of the comments here. Hey, everything in Miami, what's going on? I was up by at Sazone Cuban place the other day, where we ate at. Paul McNeely says he's no more guilty than Jim Cramer. Well, is Jim Cramer licensed to solicit securities or recommend securities? I don't know. Many people conflate the two. They think if you run a hedge fund, you don't have to be licensed for anything to run a hedge fund. I could raise money from my parents or a couple of my friends and run the money. I don't have to be, I'm not selling them securities. I'm not recommending anything. I'm running their money. So I don't know. But that's a good, that's an interesting comment, what Paul says. He's like, the Roaring Kitty guy is no more guilty than Jim Cramer. All right, let me read some more of these. Hey, Alan's is unrelated to finance, but as a gamer, I'm shocked GameStop has made it this far. Yeah, I don't know. But here's the thing. Here's what I'll say about Jim Cramer, and I'm not defending the guy. But at the end of the day, the Mad Money thing is a television show, and it is impossible. Okay, it is physically impossible for you to know everything about every single company that's publicly traded. So what I've always like kind of scratched my head a little bit about, the Mad Money show is these people will call in, right? They'll call in, and I know they're vetted. I know these ones, they're vetted before they call in. But they'll say, hey, Jim, I'm looking at this stock. It's this random shipping company in the Midwest, ticker symbol, blah, blah, blah. What do you think about it? And then Cramer will go on like maybe a 1-minute rant about, oh, I don't think it's a good buy here. I think it's a good buy here because of this and that. Like, I don't know. For me, and I know a lot of people who actually work on the street as equity research analysts at big banks. They cover specific sectors, and in some cases, they're assigned to specific stocks. So to be able to know about every little company in the oil and gas sector, or the consumer staples sector, or the enterprise software sector, AI, semiconductors. It's just not possible, right? Even if let's say if I get a job at Morgan Stanley and I'm initiating coverage on a stock, they'll put you in a specific sector, or they'll assign you to a specific stock. And that's all you do, is cover that sector and cover that stock. So I think what the public needs to know is that if Cramer is getting so much inbound from people saying, hey, what do you think about XYZ stock? The guy doesn't know every single thing about every company. It's impossible. And that's not a knock against Cramer, it's just the truth. So he can give like general guidance. I'm assuming he knows a ton about specific companies. I mean, he meets with these CEOs. But if he says, I think this is a buy, and then the stock goes down 2 weeks later, is it kind of funny? Is it a little bit of a meme? Yeah, I guess. I get it. But I think we also kind of need to be fair on both sides. Because here's the reality. Back in the day, okay, and I know somebody who worked for Cramer's hedge fund. They were very successful, and Cramer made a lot of money, hundreds of millions of dollars, when he was an active fund manager. He was very successful. And in the finance business, in the hedge fund business, you only really need to be right once to make a fortune, and then you could go on to underperform, right? There's many, many fund managers. There'll always be a fund manager that's the flavor of the month, so to speak. And additionally, one of my good buddies, Jim Ropel, who's a very good hedge fund manager, he'll say if you go all the way back 50 years, in every major cyclical bull cycle, right, in every major cyclical bull market, there's always the poster child that's the big fund manager that everybody wants to get the interview. They're outperforming the market, he or she's crushing it in every cycle, and then they go on to underperform severely. I think most recently, probably the best example of that would be the ARK funds, right? The Cathie Wood ARK Innovative ETF products. Those outperformed like crazy during the run-up, kind of post-COVID quantitative easing, when it was a speculative mania. And now, I mean, they are underperforming in a major, major, major way. So I guess in conclusion, you shouldn't, number one, blindly follow what anybody says. You can collect data on the street and get ideas and information, but it's impossible to know everything about every company and every sector. It's very, very difficult. I don't know, that's my take. Maybe it's a bad take. TK Porsche says Tom Cramer is entertainment. He may have some winners along the way, but automatically following his recommendation is a good way to lose money. I think it's very, very goodly, very nicely put. Another thing is, the best fund managers, the best investors of all time are right less than 50% of the time. I'll say that again. The best, like the best of the best. The Stanley Druckenmillers, the Paul Tudor Jones, the George Soros, the best. I actually ate here today, by the way. This is a very good restaurant. Hey, I ate here today, very good. Pizza, pasta, it's pretty good. But anyway, back from what I was saying, the best on Wall Street. Paul Tudor Jones, Stanley Druckenmiller, Dan Tapiero, Buffett, Ackman. You can name the list. It goes on and on and on. All the Tiger Global hedge fund managers, the Tiger Cubs. Even the big Julian Robertson, who essentially founded hedge funds. They're only right. The best ones are right less than 50% of the time. What's so great about the investment business is you can generate an unlimited amount of ideas, right? You can generate an unlimited amount of ideas. And if you cut your losses and you blow out the ideas that don't work, you can survive to live another day on Wall Street, right? If you're a trader or if you are an investor or whatnot. And the ideas that do work, you continue to give them gas and let them perform and work for you. Again, easier said than done. But what most people do, and there's a really good book, it's called One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch, who is the former mutual fund manager at the Fidelity Magellan Fund. And what he says is what's commonplace on the street and on Main Street is to hold on to your losers and cross your fingers and hope to God they come back. And once you have a winner, once it's up 20%, people blow it out and take the money, right? You can't take the money if your idea is up 20%. You have to let it work for you, okay? You know, it's kind of like basketball. If I give the ball to Steph Curry and he hits 2 threes in a row, I'm not going to pass the ball to somebody else that maybe have missed 2 threes in a row. I'm going to keep feeding the ball to the guy that has the hot hand. It's the same thing in the markets. If you have 5 ideas and you deploy $100,000 in capital into each 5 ideas, and automatically right off the bat, 3 of those ideas go down 10%, well, you should probably cut some of those positions and blow them out and add to the ones that have gone up 5% and then ladder in and out. Again, easier said than done, but the people who have made a lot of money in the markets, that's what they do. They cut their losers. They try not to let ego get to them. They say, hey, I was wrong on this thesis, I'm blowing it out. What's the next idea? And the ones that are working, they let them work. Yeah, someone says the diamond hands thing. Now, diamond hands is, you know, it's a funny meme. It's actually true, but most of the people who are listening to the meme are doing it inverse. So when their stock or their cryptocurrency is getting crushed, they diamond hands and hold on to it forever, when they should actually just blow the position out. And when their stock or their crypto, whatever they're trading, goes up, and if it's up 10%, they're like, oh my God, I'm up 10%, and they close out the position. That's when you add and you ladder in. All right, so we're about to pass the Palm Royal, right down here on Collins Avenue. If we make a left on 15th Street, we can head over to Ocean Drive, or we could go down one more and make a right on Espanola Way. So I'll let you guys decide. When we get to 15th Street, should we bang a left and go to Ocean Drive, or should we continue down to Espanola Way and check that out? I always love the landscaping here, these beautiful palm trees. Brad's Brains, his hardest thing to do, hands down, is sell. Bernard Baruch said, I made my money in stocks, selling too soon. New England Crypto says, did anybody see the Michael Saylor interview on the Iced Coffee Hour podcast? You know, you sent it to me. I'm going to listen to that tonight, and I appreciate you sending that to me. Now, for anybody who doesn't know who Michael Saylor is, he's the CEO, and I think he's the founder of that company too, MicroStrategy, which is now not even a software company anymore. It's essentially a proxy Bitcoin ETF, which is kind of hilarious. But yeah, I'm gonna check out that podcast. Thank you so much for sending that to me. I see Jeff in Southern Tier, New York. NAV 407 says bang a left. All right, we'll bang a left. Brian says, hey Tom, as a native of Miami, I am blown away by how different the city is from when I grew up there. I definitely miss it a lot. But I'm excited to see what's happening there. Shows how you can, yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I mean, this is only a small fraction of what's happened here in Miami. I mean, tomorrow night will probably be live from downtown Miami. If you haven't been to Miami in the last 3 years, downtown Miami is just going to look totally different to you. There's so much new construction that has gone up and in the process of going up. Obviously now you have the brand new completed Aston Martin residence which is now completely sold out, and I think they're going to have the certificate of occupancy soon. They've extended the Miami Riverwalk, so it's amazing. I mean, what they've done to this city is really quite impressive. Downtown Miami, all on Flagler Street, by the way. Everything is brand new. All the sidewalks are brand new. Now, if anybody's familiar with, is anybody familiar with Haulover? Haulover Inlet or Haulover Beach? Anybody? Does that ring a bell? Well, if it doesn't, if you're in Bal Harbor, which is like a really nice and kind of affluent area of Miami-Dade, if you continue to the northernmost side of Bal Harbor and go over that bridge, that's the Haulover Inlet. And you guys have got to visit the brand new Haulover Park and all of that new infrastructure that's all along Florida's A1A. So A1A is essentially just Collins Avenue, right? It runs all the way up through Sunny Isles Beach. It's all brand new. And I filmed about an hour all-inclusive walking tour of the brand new Haulover Marina, that entire highway that now has a dedicated bike lane, it has a dedicated pedestrian lane, brand new sidewalks, a brand new medium, all new landscaping. It's unbelievable what they've done. And that leads all the way up to Sunny Isles Beach, right by the Ritz-Carlton. Well, I should say the new Ritz-Carlton residences. That's kind of like the first major building there. It's just awesome. It's awesome what's going on. Now here's a little bit of a tourist attraction here. This is the Betsy Orb. I guess you could walk through this. It's kind of like an art exhibit that connects the two buildings, this little orb. Brian says we used to go to Haulover to look at all the yachts when I was a kid. Yeah, that's what I was doing today, and it was just beautiful because there was not too many people there today because it was a Monday, and there were dolphins, like baby dolphins, jumping out of the water. It was just the most beautiful thing. But the inlet itself, it doesn't look like the water is moving that fast when you're far away from it. But when you're right next to that jetty and like you're walking right on the rocks there, that water, I mean, it has some freaking gas to it. So I wouldn't want to fall in that. The current is crazy. Anyway, I'm excited about Miami too. So this is officially Ocean Drive, my friends. This is the Art Deco district of Miami, Florida. And it's beautiful. Love the architecture. Really good for nightlife. They now have dedicated bike lanes here. No vehicles allowed. You can see they blocked this off, which I think was a great idea. Makes it a lot more safe for pedestrians and tourists. And this is the Betsy Ross. Trade Brigade. This is pretty crazy spectacle at Jupiter Inlet. Trade Brigade, have you seen that, the YouTube channel? It's this guy that goes to Haulover and he flies this drone into the middle of the inlet, and he just films all the boats going by. And half the people are not, let's say, captain savvy, and they're just getting tossed all over the place. It's just hilarious YouTube channel. I'd shout it out if I remember the name. But if you just type Haulover Inlet, I mean, that's the first guy that's going to pop up. Wavy boats, that's what it's called. You're right, D. What do you guys think? Here's another look at the Betsy Ross. Yeah, Mr. Bagman says, I watch that channel. It's entertaining to say the least. I sometimes have that channel up when I'm doing work at the office, like on my second monitor. Anyway, now that we have some more people here in the audience, I kind of want, and if you have the expertise, I'd like an unbiased opinion, and feel free, anybody, to put your opinions in the chat. I think we need to talk, it's going to get a little bit political, which I understand that people don't like, but I think it's important and it affects the financial markets because it was a pretty historic day. Mexico have officially elected their first female president ever, so congratulations to them. However, the Mexican stock market had its worst day on record since 2008, almost down 12% on the day. Now, I don't know too much about the new president-elect. From the few articles that I've read, a few articles that I read, which doesn't make me an expert, it seems as if she's not a pro-business president, and she almost has some like socialist policies, which is a little bit concerning. So maybe this is kind of the market saying, look, we're going to de-risk to Mexico, which may or may not, I don't think one day is enough to make it, but it's trading below the 200-day moving average. But did Mexico just kind of throw a wrench in probably one of the best opportunities their country has had ever, by taking advantage of all this reshoring of manufacturing to North America in general? Does anybody know anything about the president-elect? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Is the market overhyping this? Is this an overreaction in the market? Or is this something to be concerned about? Now, I'm going to do my own diligence as the week progresses, but I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. Hey, Daytona Gal, what's going on? Yeah, it's awesome here. Hopefully we can make it all the way down to 5th Street, in which case we will go to south of 5th neighborhood. Zozo Bob says, Tom, she is carrying the same policies as the former president. So in other words, you think this is maybe a bit of an overreaction, you think? Ryan says, why congratulate her just because she is a woman? Like race or gender implies qualifications. I wasn't doing that. I'm just saying, like, in general, I guess congrats for a new president. I generally tend to agree with your take. But I guess just the event of electing a first female president is a historic thing. But I definitely agree it shouldn't be like your voting base, I guess. Peter says she will just follow the current government policies, and I hope she can get the cartels in check. Well, I think that's the big thing, right? Essentially the proxy government of Mexico, everybody pretty much knows without saying it, are the cartels, right? So maybe this is the market looking forward, saying maybe there was a chance there could be some real big shakeup in Mexico. Obviously the market looks forward 6 months. That's kind of why you see that price action in Argentina. You know, for a Monday night, this is actually pretty busy. Dave says, I can't say, Tom, did not know enough at this point, it's too early. Anyway, well, if you look at the ticker symbol of the Mexico ETF, it's EWW, and that chart now looks horrendous. It's just like a massive candle of death. There's the Carlyle. Hey, Trade Brigade, take care. We will see you soon. Enjoy the rest of your night. I kind of like all the neon lights here. Trade Brigades, just before I go, check out the monthly EWW bar right to the trend channel low. So maybe this is a shakeout, we'll see. Thanks for pointing that out. Now, I guess the next topic of interest is crude oil. I mean, crude really getting rocked today again. Crude futures trading about $73 a barrel. Is this the market kind of forecasting? If you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these streams every day starting at 8:45. All right, maybe we'll cut over to Washington Avenue. Hey, Connor says, I'm going to be in Manhattan later this month. Any recommendations on restaurants? Yeah. If you like Korean food, I'd go to Take 31. Or Her Name is Han. It's right on 31st Street and 5th Avenue. That's a great spot, a good cafe. I check out Gasoline Alley Coffee in NoHo, which is really good. I mean, there's tons and tons of places. Irving Farm Coffee Roasters on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I mean, I think you're really going to enjoy your trip to New York. It's great weather there now. Intern season is just starting up. So the city's probably going to be absolutely packed. Congrats, by the way, congrats to all of those new interns. I've been getting some emails of people who watch the stream who are now summer analysts at some of the banks in New York. So good luck. I should say best of luck. And congrats on the position. Some of you will be working right next to me. My office is not too far away from Jeffrey's. About 2. All right, I'm thinking about making a right here onto Washington Avenue, or towards. Now, you're starting to see a few more deals coming out or surfacing. One of my good friends is a big commercial broker down here. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity coming up if you're a developer, big developer, to buy out a lot of these older condos. There was one deal that just happened in North Miami, very, very close to North Miami Beach. I think there was about 110 units total in the building, and they've been putting off their special assessment, or I should say they've been putting off doing much needed renovation to the building to bring it up to standard. Now the state of Florida has kind of had it with that. Ever since the horrible tragedy in Surfside, they are now essentially forcing a lot of these buildings to make the necessary repairs to get the buildings up to code. The problem is, some of these special assessments could be six figures. It could be like $100,000 special assessment on a $200,000 condo, right? So almost nobody's gonna do that, and most people can't afford to do that. So it's a travesty, and it's gonna cause a lot of problems, but it's also gonna present a lot of opportunity. So in many cases, some developers or big development companies have been searching out these buildings that this is happening to, and they've been making bids or offers to buy out the whole condo. And oftentimes, the individual unit owners make some money on the deal. So it kind of gets them out of a bind and prevents them from having to spend $100,000 a unit on these special assessments. But then, once the developer knocks down the building, well, the land value is probably worth like 2x what the original building that sat on top of the land was worth, because you've unlocked that underlying land value. And now you could build something magnificent. You could build, all brand new modern luxury condos, and they'll probably sell really, really well, and you can make a lot of money. So there was another deal that just happened in North Miami. There's another one I think that's gonna happen in North Miami Beach, right as you come over the bridge from Sunny Isles. There's a building that's in really, really rough shape. And you're also seeing a lot of these, I should say, older condos in like Miami Gardens too, that I think is gonna present some very interesting opportunities. So stay, have your eyes peeled. Have your eyes peeled. Hey, ETC333. What's up? This is good evening, Tom and team joining the stream. South Beach looks beautiful. Yeah, and it's surprising, like for a Monday night, I'm surprised that there's this many people. I thought it was gonna be absolutely dead. This is like the off season down here. Wall Street Finance Guy. This is, hey Tom, I saw your walking tour that you posted a few days ago. I've been looking to invest in North Beach. What are your thoughts on this? Well, what are you looking to invest in specifically? Are you looking at like commercial? Do you want to buy a building? Do you want to buy land? Do you want to buy an individual condo? Do you want to buy a single family home? If you send me an email, let me know. I can kind of give you the rundown. But in a general sense, assuming you want to buy a condo, what I've been saying and kind of what we just talked about, if you look on Zillow, I was about to say Street Easy coming from Manhattan. If you look on Zillow and a lot of in like just the regular MLS, there's some condos that are trading at a big discount that are suckering in a lot of buyers, but it's priced that way for a reason. It's unfortunately, a lot of the owners are trying to get ahead and exit and sell their place before these special assessments hit. So if you see something, you're like, wow, this is actually affordably priced or reasonably priced, it's probably reasonably priced for a reason. And that building is probably going to get hit with some sort of big assessment. So you got to make sure you request all the financial docs from the condo. I would get the financial statement, see how much working capital reserves they have, because some of these buildings that, you know, we're doing deals on or hope to do deals in, you know, the working capital has dwindled to zero. So it's very, very important. And this is just broad based. It's not only in Florida, it's not only in Miami. If you're going to buy in a condo anywhere, you should do this. Make sure the financials of the building are good. So I think there's areas of opportunity. If you're going to buy in a condo, I'd stay to the newer development and buy maybe like a sponsor unit. There's a building that just went up on 72nd Street, just as you go over the bridge to North Beach, or excuse me, just as you go over the bridge to Normandy Shores, I apologize. And that's called 72 Park. That's a pretty good building. I think Element is running sales on that. I'm not super familiar with the developer, but yeah, North Beach is an awesome community. I really like it. It's nicknamed Little Buenos Aires. I also, depending on what your price range is and what your budget is, I would check out Normandy Shores or Normandy Isles. It's like this private community right on the water, right on a golf course. I was gonna buy a place there in like 2015. Now that stuff is pretty expensive, but Miami's cooling, and we've kind of expected this to do this, right? You know, after like a massive run up, things start to cool. You're having a lot more inventory come on the market. So I think it's shifting from a seller's market to a buyer's market. And I think you can negotiate hard and get deals. I think you can get pretty good deals here. Particularly if you're buying new development, you could probably negotiate with the sponsor to, you know, pay all the closing costs. And if the building is, let's say, you know, 60% plus sold, they're also competing with the resales too. So resales are going to be competing with these sponsor units, so you could use that to your advantage and negotiate. But just generally speaking, I think North Beach is going to explode. You're seeing a lot of new construction. They're redoing the boardwalk. All of those really ratty and nasty kind of motels that were all along the water there, those are going to be torn down, and those are going to be all brand new apartments, hotels. So they're really doing the right thing. They're building pedestrian infrastructure. They're building, you know, cyclist infrastructure. So they're doing the right thing. That's kind of my 2 cents. Hopefully that answers your question. And feel free to send me an email, and I'm more than happy to help. Now, this is probably my favorite Art Deco building. All along Ocean Drive. It's called the Colony Hotel. Look at how beautiful the big blue neon letters are. Connor says, in my opinion, all of the rental supercars make Miami look super tacky. I think I agree with you. I'm not a big car guy. Like the Lambos, things like that, I'm just not into it. Now some people may be into it. If that's your thing, totally fine. I've just never been a big car guy. I think I totally agree with you, Connor. For me, I actually kind of like something like that a lot better. Is that a hot take? I mean, I don't think you can conclusively say. Is there a guy in that? Oh no, it's a dummy. Sorry, my eyesight's horrible. I don't think you can conclusively say that a vehicle like this looks worse than the new cars. I think these things look way cooler. It has some character to it. I don't know. I think it looks cool. What do you guys think? Would you rather have a new Lambo or would you rather have this thing? I think I'd rather have this. Hey, Sampat Partra says, hey Tom, today is India's parliament election results. Ah, very cool. I'm very, very bullish on India in general and the Indian economy. Very young population, growing very nicely, and I think India will continue to do really well. Javier says Brickell is also a hot market. Yeah, I think Brickell is going to continue to cool in a bit. Now, here's the big thing that I always say, if you're looking to buy real estate anywhere, I think number one overall is the prospects of really, really high paying jobs in the future, and the sustainability of that. So how is the VC market that are funding these new entrepreneurial companies and startups? Which is kind of why I've had a contrarian take on San Francisco. There's tons of people, every time I talk about San Francisco, they email me, they say, Tom, you don't know what you're talking about. Maybe I don't. I mean, maybe you're right. I'm not an expert in San Francisco, but you can't deny that even with all the crime, all the nonsense, all the crazy politics, okay, we won't get into it. If you look, and Google this for yourself, don't take my word for it. You know, fact check everything I say. Look at the dollar amount. Okay, the dollar amount of venture capital investment in all of the major cities across the United States. You know what's at number one still, and has actually added more? It's San Francisco Bay Area, by not even close. So VC money is going there, which means talent is still there. The talent pool generally is still there. Because they have a really good feeder system into a lot of the top schools. And that's going to keep jobs there. Now, I don't know how long that's going to last if they can't get their act together in terms of stopping the crime. And that's why you've started to see a lot of these high-paying jobs move to places like Texas, and Houston, and Austin, and Miami, Tampa, St. Pete, all of that stuff, right? So, in conclusion, the reason why I chose to purchase in Miami a while ago, I think, what is this, 3 years now? I can't even believe that that's the case, is because the biggest difference with this boom in Miami is it's backed by actual high-paying jobs that can compete on par with the New York investment bank salaries, the New York big law, the consulting, the tech. The salaries are not there yet, but they're actually getting there. I mean, think about, you know, if you go to work as a quantitative researcher at Citadel, right? In the New York office, you're probably going to make 15 to 20% more. But, you know, if you're knocking down $350,000 in the state of Florida with no state income tax, the quality of life is a little bit better. You're going to start to see people choose South Florida over a city like New York. That's my bet, but I also bet on a big rebound in New York. I think just because, I really truly believe just because one city is successful doesn't mean that another city has to be in decline. This is a massive country. It's the greatest country in the world. This is the biggest economic powerhouse the world has ever seen. And there's room for all of our great cities in America to grow. That's kind of my thought process. So I think you're going to have a big rebound. I mean, if you really like have brass balls for risk, I'd say you go to San Francisco. I would even move, if you really want to make a fortune, I think, and if you have the time, move to San Francisco, get to know the big players in CRE over there, and buy all this distressed stuff for pennies on the dollar, and, you know, lobby your politicians hard to essentially get rid of all the crazy policies that make the crime so bad, and you're in for a pretty nice fortune. Now, residential, oh, look at how cool this is. I never noticed this before. These Miami Beach letters with all the palm trees in the back. Now, you could even get some pretty good deals in residential. Some condos, and again, don't take my word for it, look it up yourself. Some people are fire selling their condos in San Francisco, 25% off of where they purchased it, 30%, 50%. So the bet is they're selling it for a reason. They don't like the crime. They're upset about it. And if that changes, do you think the property values are going to go back up, or do you think they're going to continue to go down? My bet is they'll probably recover and go back up and even higher where they originally were. So that's kind of my 2 cents about it. I try to be overly optimistic, which can kind of get me in trouble sometimes, but we'll see. Hey, Steven Gonzalez, what's up? This is now the South of 5th neighborhood. If you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video. Click the subscribe button if you're new. This Friday has been here forever. Gary Buckley says, Tom, I agree with you on your San Francisco take. They have some cleanup to do, but I'm bullish on San Francisco. I think they are at or near the bottom in terms of real estate. Yeah, I mean, so long as the talent stays, if you start to see the talent leaving, then that's a big problem. And again, you can kind of use that principle, which is follow the money. VCs, even though we can kind of bust their balls a little bit for being a little crazy, we'll just leave it at that. They're not stupid, and they're not just going to throw good money after bad. So they're deploying money in San Francisco. And look, the state of California is one of the biggest economies in the world. I mean, we need to remember that. We need to remember that. So I think it's important, just as an American, and this ties into the financial markets too, because generally speaking, if you think about, correlations between GDP growth and the S&P 500, I know we have the walk signal, but I don't trust any of these drivers here, particularly Florida drivers. People think that New Yorkers are bad drivers. No. Come to the state of Florida. These people are crazy. Anyway, from a market standpoint, and we'll kind of explore a little bit down into the South of 5th neighborhood, we have to understand that there's a very high correlation between GDP growth and if the S&P is going to be positive or negative, right? So if the economy is growing, more often than not, it's actually about 75% of the time, the general market S&P 500 will be higher. So if you are one of these people that are actively rooting for the demise of the state of California, you're almost kind of rooting for your personal net worth to be eroded, in a sense. And I'm a conservative, right? I would consider myself definitely a more right-leaning in my political beliefs, totally right. But I like to make money, and I like to see the United States succeed. So I don't think it's appropriate to root for these libtard states. I hope they continue to spiral into the abyss. Dude, California is one of the largest economies in the entire world. So no, we shouldn't be rooting for that. We should be rooting for the opposite. And I think the state of California will be just fine. I really do. That's my rant. All right, everybody, we've never been here before on the live stream. Never before. This is what you would call the South of 5th neighborhood. Pretty easy to remember. If you go to 5th Street and just walk south, this is the neighborhood. It's more residential. You're not going to have a lot of the loud noise, party craziness. So if you want to be close to the party, but kind of live next to it and have some peace, I would check out some of the condos down here by South Point Park, which we will be at probably 10 minutes, 10-ish it'll take us. But you'll notice a total difference. You could already tell. Really not a lot of big nightlife. Very quiet. Pretty much everybody's in for the night sleeping. Peter says, what percentage of your office colleagues hold your conservative point of view? I don't even know. I don't really ask. If I had to guess, probably not many. That's okay. I love everybody I work with, dude. I couldn't have a better boss. My boss is the best, and I'm so thankful for that. Yeah, Esteban, this part is really quiet. And look at some of the newer buildings here. Felix's Hala Madrid, indeed. Now, didn't Mbappe just sign a deal with Real Madrid? So he's coming back from Saudi Arabia, going to play at Real Madrid, which is fantastic. Justin Goyne says this place is a ghost town, it'll never last. This is some of the most expensive parts of all of the state of Florida here. South of 5th neighborhood, this is like some of the most affluent zip code in the entire United States of America. Stretching all the way to the Miami Beach marina. If you go down here and go straight to the water, you'll see some unbelievable yachts, fishing boats. I mean, this is as affluent as you could get. Yeah, Esteban, I saw that on Twitter today. Kylian Mbappe is going to be back at Real Madrid, which I'm pretty excited about. Who thinks that Cristiano Ronaldo will be back at Real Madrid? I know everybody's going to say no shot, no way. I don't know. We'll see. This is the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Park, just to our left. Monty says there's a famous steakhouse here. Yeah, you're right. It's Smith and Walensky. And if you watched our standalone walking video of the South of 5th neighborhood, which I think I posted today, you could see the outdoor dining setup at Smith and Walensky. It's unbelievable, unreal. It's right on the water, and you have this spectacular view overlooking Fisher Island. Now, there's a broker in our office, Noble Black, who landed a huge project on Fisher Island. It's called 6 Fisher, if you want to look it up. Once again, 6 Fisher Island. Now, I've been talking to a lot of people about Fisher Island, and I've heard mixed things. Ooh, look at this beauty. Love that Vespa. Shannon says Madrid is too well run to consider bringing in Cristiano. Eh. Wow, look at how beautiful this restaurant is. You have these 2 beautiful palms here. I'll turn on the wide angle lens just to trying to show you how beautiful it is. It's gorgeous. What do you guys think so far of the South of 5th neighborhood? I forgot why I've never streamed down here before. If we make a right, this should take us to Joe's Stone Crab. This is the Hilton. Let me cross here because I want to show you some of these. These are insane. Now, if you're visiting South Florida, and you're visiting Miami, take my advice, come to South Point Park at sunset. You will not regret it. I think it's probably one of the best sunsets you'll see in the entire United States. And I used to say that about Haulover. If you drive that main highway from Bal Harbor to Stony Isles Beach, I used to think that was the best sunset until I've seen it at South Point Park. It's unbelievable. Tomorrow, if I have time, if I can get off work early, I'm probably going to come down here and stake out the sunset, assuming the weather is permitting, and take a standalone video of it because it's unbelievable. This is a new development here. Let's see if we can make it all the way to Smith and Walensky. What do you guys think? And just to the left of us is the beach. You're right on the ocean. I'll always go around the cars. My trust is negative. Negative trust. Look at how nice this landscaping is. Hey, marketing videography, what's up? Yeah, Joe Stone Crab is coming up just to the right. Look at this rolls. These things are massive in person, almost like the Cybertruck. I mean, the Cybertruck's way bigger, but they're huge. Hey, JC, what's up, man? Good to see you. We're taking a cruise through South Beach tonight, south of 5th neighborhood. Here's a Bentley. JC, did you watch the, I think New England Crypto was telling us about that new Michael Saylor interview that just dropped a few days ago? I'm gonna watch it tonight. Saylor's a character, I always like watching him. All right, this is Joe's right here on the corner. This place is expensive, but it's very, very good. Look at this cafe. It has all flamingos in it. Okay, there it is, Joe's Stone Crab. Anybody been here before? This is a very, very famous place. And then here is my favorite spot, South Point Park, Smith and Walensky, this steakhouse. But look at this condo. Look at how beautiful it is. Every unit has these balconies. I kind of like how the building fans out a little bit. What do you guys think? Now, mind you, this is overlooking South Point Park and Fisher Island, and it overlooks downtown Miami. So, I mean, this is as good as you're gonna get. This is probably my favorite thing about it. Look at these palm trees. They're like so perfectly placed. It's like you're entering into like a pristine resort. It's unreal here. Hey, Jamie Pope says we love Joe's Stone Crab. It's awesome. It's really, really cool. Now, I haven't really explored this neighborhood too much, the south of 5th. But on this recent Miami trip, I've been coming here quite often, and I love it. I am so impressed with the South of Fifth neighborhood. It's so clean. It feels just like so high end. And if you continue down past this condo, this is going to be the Miami Beach Marina. And you can come here, you could rent jet skis, you could do boat charters, everything. It's like, it's unbelievable. Now, I'm not too sure how the internet is going to be once we enter South Point Park, but we might as well give it a go, because I want to see if the bar at Smith & Wolinski's is open, because you guys have got to see the outdoor dining setup there. It's unbelievable. And then if I zoom in close enough, I want you guys to kind of try to squint really hard. If you see those little dim lights in the distance, I'm not too sure how it comes out on the broadcast, but those lights are Fisher Island. We'll probably be able to see the ferry going by, just a little bit too dark. Let me know if you guys could see the lights of Fisher Island. Let me know. Hey, Jamie Pope, thank you so much for your generous $10 donation. Appreciate you. And thank you for your support of Walks on Wall Street. Now, this is really going to melt your face off here. We're going to see an unobstructed skyline of downtown Miami. I'm talking the Aston Martin residences you're going to be able to see. You're going to be able to see 50 Biscayne, 1000 Museum. It's just unbelievable, unreal here. And we're getting soaked by all of the sprinklers, but that's all right because it's actually kind of hot out. Let me know how the internet is holding up. I mean, how cool is this? In person, I could assure you it looks so much better. But if you look right here, this is the entire skyline of downtown Miami. Oof, just got soaked. That's all right. Let me try to zoom. Oops. Sorry, I got water on the screen, so I really couldn't control it. Isn't that crazy? And this is where all the major cruise ships pull in. But here is Fisher Island. Right here. All right, so this is Fisher Island. And that is downtown Miami where all the cruise ships pull in. Oof, just got soaked again. All right, let's get off of here. And these are all the condos. It's like playing Frogger. All right, I am soaking wet, but that's all right because we'll probably dry off fairly quickly. But I'm telling you guys, you got to take my word for it. If you're visiting Miami, make it a point to come to South Point Park at sunset or at night, because the view on the camera doesn't really do it justice. This is unbelievable here. Unbelievable. Let me zoom in on some of the Oops. Anyway, yeah, maybe we'll make it a point to come here during the day so I can show you guys what South Point Park looks like on the live stream during the day. Also, if you go to our YouTube channel and click on videos, go ahead and watch the daytime walking tour from South Point Park. You guys will be totally impressed. But that's all for tonight. I want to thank all of you for joining us on tonight's live stream. If you enjoyed it, feel free to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and if you want to join us tomorrow, please come back, 8:45. We'll talk about the financial markets, we'll talk about the real estate market. Lots going on, lots of stuff to talk about. So thank you all for joining, and we will see you tomorrow. Sunshine after rain, Western Mass Dave, my good friend Mr. Pope, Shannon DC322, Trade Brigade, Javier, Mohammed, Monty, all of our moderators, Steve Gonzalez, Tatted T. Yeah, this was a fun stream. We'll see you all tomorrow. God bless, be well, and may you prosper in the trading day tomorrow. See you soon. Signing off. New England Crypto, thank you as always for the recommendations.